Discover how my unexpected action. After my daughter-in-law's demand transformed our bond forever. Tom realized his hands were trembling as he wiped the grease from his fingers onto a rag. The garage smelled of oil and metal, but it couldn't mask the bitterness brewing in his heart. "You're holding Jake back," Emily had said, her voice echoing through the small house, sharp and unwavering. Stinging words that sliced through the pride he took in his humble lifestyle. As a mechanic, he had always thought hard work was enough. Wasn't it? With each clang of tools against metal, he felt the weight of inadequacy pressed down on him. He had built a life based on grit, a strong foundation solidified with loyalty to family. Yet here was Emily, questioning everything he had ever stood for. The thought nauseated him. Had he really failed as a father? He was no stranger to criticism. Life had thrown its share of punches. But this? This felt different, more personal. He turned away from the car he was fixing and stared blankly at the wall, fighting the knot of confusion in his gut. How had it come to this? The garage now felt suffocating, reflecting the chaos inside him, and he left, trudging outside just to breathe. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. His father's workshop lingered at the back of his mind, a haven untouched by the bitterness that now clouded his life. He sighed and trudged toward it, each step heavier than the last. Inside, dust motes danced in the slanting sunlight, settling on familiar, uneasy memories. There stood his father's tools, relics of a man who had shared values Tom now struggled to uphold. It hit him then. His father had always crafted things with heart. Tom stumbled into a bundle of his father's unfinished projects, beautifully carved, half-finished furniture pieces that seemed to whisper stories. He hesitated, his breath catching. Could he remember how to craft? What if he failed? That risk again, gnawing at him. But another part of him, an ember flickering in the dark, urged him to pick up the tools, to create something tangible again. As he worked, he lost track of time. Every scrape of the wood released a bit of the pressure in his chest. For the first time since Emily's words, he felt something awaken, a sense of purpose he long buried. But the gnawing doubt remained, lurking. He wanted to show Jake that hard work still mattered, that he could forge something of his own. Could creativity intertwine with his labor? But then, would that be enough for Emily? Or would she continue to see him as the anchor weighing them down? As the final pieces took shape, uneasiness returned. What would happen when he brought this new creation into the family dynamic? Would Emily still resent him for his simple existence? Would Jake understand? He glanced at the assembled table, his heart racing with anticipation and dread. Amidst feelings of pride came waves of insecurity, each crashing harder than the last. He was a man on the precipice, balancing between two worlds, the gritty labor of a mechanic and a newfound dream of creation. But the looming dread of rejection tainted every spark of hope. How would his family react to this change? And would it push them together or drive them apart? Tom stood in the dim light of the workshop, surrounded by the remnants of his father's dreams. Each unfinished piece echoed the past, and he felt an overwhelming urge to turn them into reality. As he completed the table, the wood felt warm beneath his fingers, grounding him in the moment. This was no longer just about crafting a piece of furniture. It was about proving something to himself, and perhaps to his family. With every stroke of the sandpaper, he pondered what Emily had said. Was he truly holding Jake back? The question echoed painfully in his mind as he felt the weight of the expectation pressing down like the thick layer of dust on the tools around him. He needed to redefine himself, not only as a mechanic, but as a creator, a father who could inspire rather than limit. That night, he sat at the table he'd just finished, the wood gleaming under the low light. It was a tangible representation of his growth, and for the first time, he considered inviting his family into this nascent part of his life. Would they see the value in what he was doing? Could a table symbolize a shift in their relationships? He closed his eyes, envisioning Jake, excited and intrigued, running his hands over the table's smooth surface. But the vision morphed as he imagined Emily's disapproving glance. What if this endeavor was just a fleeting passion that would lead to more disappointment? Yet the ember that had reignited within him wouldn't be extinguished by doubt. It was time for action, and perhaps it required a leap of faith. The next day, he decided to share his project with Jake first, longing to forge a deeper connection. After school, Tom called him into the garage. The boy had shown promise in mechanics, and his curiosity was a lifeline. As Jake walked in, Tom's heart raced. He had spent so long being the man who fixed things, never the man who created. "Hey, buddy," Tom said, gesturing toward the table. "What do you think?" Jake's eyes widened, taking in the craftsmanship. "Did you make this, Dad?" Tom nodded, a wave of pride swelling in his chest. "Yeah, just finished it yesterday. Want to help me add some finishing touches?" The thrill of collaboration surged through Tom as he watched Jake run his fingers over the wood. "It's amazing. Can we sell it? Maybe make some cool designs?" The enthusiasm radiated from Jake, and for the first time, Tom felt a flicker of validation. "Maybe," he replied, momentarily caught. The idea hadn't crossed his mind, but it was an exciting prospect. Could they really create something together that brought value to both their lives? But as Tom shifted his focus to Jake's ideas, a nagging fear persisted in the back of his mind. Would Emily support this new direction? Would she see this joint venture as a step forward, or merely a distraction? The thought lingered like an unwelcome shadow, intertwining with the excitement of the moment. As Jake and Tom shared ideas, laughter ringing through the garage, Tom's resolve solidified. He would have to confront the tension hanging over their family dynamics. The need for support was palpable, and he knew it would take effort to navigate this path. The decision loomed large. He needed to talk to Emily. Would she embrace the change within him, or would she see it as just another failure? The uncertainty felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. It was time to face her. And as they finished brainstorming ideas, he could no longer ignore the prospect of their future. Would this spark not only a genuine creative collaboration with Jake, but also a chance to open a dialogue with Emily that could reshape their family forever? Tom's heart pounded in his chest as he glanced at Jake, who was sketching design ideas enthusiastically. The energy of creation enveloped them in the garage, but the prospect of confronting Emily loomed larger. She had always been the pragmatic one, the anchor to his spontaneous urges, and her reaction could very well dictate the future of this newfound purpose. Later that evening, Tom felt the weight of the world as he set the table for dinner. The hardwood gleamed under the soft glow of the lamp, an unspoken testament to his efforts. He fidgeted with the utensils, imagining Emily's reaction. Would her eyes light up in surprise? Or would she throw a dismissive glance, skeptical about his ambitions? When she walked in, her face was drawn from a long day at work, but Tom knew he had to risk vulnerability. As they settled at the table, the conversation darted between mundane topics, but the tension crackled beneath. With each passing second, the urge to speak morphed from an ember to a blaze. "Emily," he kicked off, his voice steady. "There's something I want to talk to you about." Her brow raised, she set her fork down, giving him her full attention. "I've been working on some projects, like this table." He pointed toward his creation. "And Jake and I have been discussing some ideas for furniture we could maybe sell." Silence. Tom felt the weight of her gaze, a mix of skepticism and curiosity. "You made that?" she asked finally, the hint of surprise softening her features. "Yeah, I did," he responded, a smile creeping onto his face. "And I want to create more things. Together. With Jake." Her expression shifted imperceptibly, and Tom's anxiety hinted at just the smallest bit of optimism. "But, Tom, it's just a hobby. We have bills to pay. Are you sure you're not diving headfirst into something that won't yield anything?" The words stung, yet they were what he had expected. "It's not just about the money. It's about creating something meaningful. For us," he added, the determination in his voice underscoring his point. "I want Jake to know that he can create too, that he can follow his passions, just like I'm trying to." Emily's lips tightened, a familiar frown forming. "And what if it leads to nothing? What if he gets disappointed?" The question hung in the air, a stark reminder of all their past failures. Tom took a breath, forcing himself to lean into his vulnerability. "What if we never try? What if we keep living in fear of disappointment and miss out on possibilities?" He could see the gears turning in Emily's mind, the struggle between practicality and hope. The atmosphere shifted subtly as she began to process his words. "I'm not asking you to abandon reality," he continued, emboldened by his conviction. "Just to consider that there's value in creation, even if it doesn't lead to something tangible right away." Her eyes softened, and Tom sensed a crack forming in her stoic exterior. "You truly believe this could work?" "I do," he replied, the fire within him igniting the words. "I believe it could change our family." As they ate in silence, he watched her fingers trace the edge of the table, as if she could feel the importance of its place in their lives. Later that night, after Jake had gone to bed, Tom lingered in the garage, reacquainting himself with the tools. A sudden thought struck him. What if he documented their journey? He could capture not just the creations but the moments of connection, the highs and lows of this venture. It would be a narrative of change, a testament to resilience. But the best ideas often came with their own weight. Would Emily support this endeavor as well? Or would it be seen as just another distraction from their already cluttered lives? As the night deepened, Tom knew he was on the precipice of something bigger than he had anticipated. A balanced embrace of dreams, family, and the hard reality of life. But the thought of the challenges ahead was daunting, and he had to prepare himself for whatever lay in store. The allure of his journey tugged at him, and with every intention to document their growth came the unshakable fear of failure. But this time, he wouldn't let it hold him back. The moment of truth was nearing, and with every beat of his heart, he realized he was only beginning to reconcile his past with his ambitions. How could he shape a future where they all thrived together? With that thought hanging in the air, Tom paused, his curiosity pulling him forward. What would the family's first project be? And more importantly, would it bring them closer, or reveal deeper conflicts that needed to be addressed? As dawn broke, bathing the garage in a soft glow, Tom found himself more determined than ever. The shadows of doubt still loomed large in his mind, but he was beginning to see them for what they were. Obstacles to be navigated, rather than barriers to his dreams. He rummaged through the clutter, each tool echoing the potential for creation that lay ahead. What began with a single table could evolve into something profoundly larger, an expression of their family unity embodied through craftsmanship. He quickly glanced at Jake, deep in his slumber. the outlines of dreams still dancing across his innocent face. Tom felt a swell of purpose. This was not just a mission to reclaim his own identity, but a chance to cultivate a belief in Jake that resonated with his principles of creativity. Tom leaned against the workbench, his mind swirling with ideas about what their first project could be. Would it be a set of chairs? A bookshelf? Something that could mark their collective aspirations and remind them that their dreams deserve space to breathe. He needed to engage Jake in the process, to make him feel integral to something larger than themselves. But with each thought came the nagging voice in the back of his head. What would Emily think of this unfolding journey? Would she ever fully embrace the uncertainty of this new path? He felt compelled to address those concerns, deepening their mutual understanding. Later that day, while Jake was distracted with his latest sketches, Tom sat down with Emily, the table between them a threshold to cross. "I've been thinking," he started, collecting his thoughts with meticulous care. "What if we all pitched in for our first project? I want it to be something we can share, even something that can be part of our home." Emily's gaze was skeptical as she folded her hands in her lap. "And what would that be?" she asked, her tone cautious. "A bookcase," he replied, an idea forming. "A place not just for books, but for memories, pictures, souvenirs, a reflection of our family." She paused, considering the vision he painted. Tom noted the way her brows knitted together, a physical manifestation of the internal conflict swirling in her mind. "But what will that cost us?" She pressed gently, a fair question laced with concern. "Nothing that we don't have already," he countered. "We can repurpose materials we have in the garage. I just want us to work together, to find out how we can make this happen." He could sense the wheels turning in her head, the intersecting paths of doubt and hope. For the first time in a long while, there was a glimmer of something in her eyes. Not dismissal, but intrigue. "Tom," she began, a cautious optimism lacing her voice. "It does sound nice, building something together. But if it doesn't pan out, will we be okay?" "That's the risk, isn't it?" he replied, an unexpected honesty spilling forth. "But isn't the possibility of some joy worth it? I truly believe this can foster something meaningful among us." Silence filled the space as Emily watched him, a slow realization dawning. It was one thing to build structures, but another to build deeper connections. Tom felt the air shift as he held her gaze, a sense of purpose intertwining with hope. The idea of a bookcase had transformed into more than just furniture. It could be an anchor for their family's identity, a project to draw them closer rather than push them apart. But that realization also came with the weight of responsibility. To see this vision through meant he would need to convey enthusiasm, to pull Emily into the momentum he was building. As they moved through the day, Tom couldn't shake the anticipation swirling within him. Would they really embark on this journey? Could it redefine their roles, and more importantly, renew the fabric of their family? In the following days, he started to gather materials while simultaneously crafting a narrative to share. A blueprint of their collective journey, filled with the humor in mishaps and the tenderness of bonding. Each step sparkled with potential, clamoring for attention amidst his lingering fears. Would their first collaborative project be the turning point for their family, or merely a fleeting ambition that waned like the drapes drawn over their windows? Tom's pulse quickened with both excitement and trepidation, aware that the challenges ahead might demand more from him than he anticipated. As he stacked the wood, a question crept into his mind. Would he be able to hold everything together, while creating a tangible product and mending frayed ties? The moment was approaching when everything could change. Would he find the fortitude to confront the struggles that accompanied their shared dreams? Tom stood in the garage, the scent of sawdust mingling with the remnants of oily tools, a fitting backdrop for the work he was about to start. The bookcase was no longer just a project. It now represented a shift in his life, a declaration that he was committed to manifesting change. He envisioned it not only as furniture, but as a vessel filled with their collective experiences and aspirations. Yet uncertainty cast a shadow, reminding him that his progress hinged on the acceptance and involvement of Emily and Jake. As the grounding thud of the garage door echoed in the stillness, he solidified his plan. He would bring Jake into the project, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. Involving Emily seemed equally crucial, but her skepticism reminded him of the thin line between enthusiasm and pressure. If he set the stage right, his family could transform this task into a shared adventure rather than an obligation. That evening, he beckoned Jake to join him as he laid the groundwork. "How about we start by designing what our bookcase will look like?" he suggested, a hopeful edge to his voice. Jake regarded him with wide eyes, diving into his sketchbook as if the chance were a precious treasure. Their synergy ignited the moment Jake's pencil met the paper, and they exchanged ideas. The boy's boundless creativity flowed as he decorated potential designs with vibrant observations. "What if we painted it blue, like the ocean?" he proposed eagerly. Tom chuckled, his son's joy infectious, but he knew they needed a balance of practicality and whimsy. As the sun descended, casting a warm haze through the garage windows, Tom felt a swell of pride. This was more than just making furniture. It was a rebuilding process. But the silent weight of Emily's earlier hesitation lingered at the back of his mind. Would she ever see what he envisioned? Within a few days, the initial excitement began morphing into tangible shapes. They had gathered old wood planks, screws, and paint containers. But the complexity of the undertaking began to surface before them. Tom found himself fumbling with the tools, hesitant. Each miscalculation reminded him he was not just a craftsman in this endeavor, but a father and husband who sought to foster love and connection. His mind echoed Emily's words about the risks involved. He knew he had to confront this head-on, to communicate. That evening, after they had shared dinner, he carefully approached her again, the necessity for transparency tingling in the air. "How do you feel about the bookcase project so far?" he asked, his tone laced with vulnerability. Emily looked at him, eyebrows raised, caught off guard. "Honestly, it's more fun than I expected," she confessed. "But I'm still not sure about the time and effort it demands. Can we really manage it without feeling like we're neglecting other responsibilities?" The sincerity in her voice struck him like a bolt. It was a moment of truth, a realization that forging connections required more than enthusiasm. It required vulnerability. He needed to clarify their collective goals and boundaries if they were to make this venture sustainable. "We'll pace ourselves," he promised. "I want us to enjoy this, not feel it burdens. If we need to step back, we will." Her nod was subtle but significant. It was a shared acknowledgement that they were both leading this journey toward reconciliation, not just within themselves, but as a family unit. As he returned to the garage, the project's materials seemed to pulse with new energy, now filled with purpose beyond the wood itself. He began to realize he had uncovered a hidden strength in being open to Emily's concerns and incorporating them into their plan. History would be reconstructed one plank at a time, not just of wood, but of relationships. Tomorrow, as they descended deeper into the project, Tom knew the time was fast approaching for another conversation. A crucial moment when he would need to invite Jake to a very specific engagement, one that could either ignite their journey or pose new challenges to their bond. Would he effectively foster that shared commitment, or find himself stalling again? The uncertainty loomed, yet each lingering concern felt like a stepping stone towards something greater. The next day dawned with a crispness in the air that matched Tom's anticipation. It was a Saturday, a day meant for family, for involvement, and for the gradual unfurling of dreams crafted within the walls of his garage. He had awakened with clarity. The day ahead was more than just another chapter in the bookcase construction. It was a pivotal moment for him and Jake. After breakfast, he found Jake sprawled on the living room floor, art supplies scattered around him like colorful confetti. Seeing the innocence radiating from Jake, Tom wondered if this was the day he could truly engage him in a way that mattered. "Hey, buddy." Tom crouched beside his son, his heart swelling at the sight of Jake's focused expression. "How about we pick something special to put inside the bookcase? Something that means a lot to you." Jake's eyes lit up. "You mean like my comic books?" "Exactly," Tom encouraged, feeling the flow of energy within their connection. "I want you to feel that this bookcase is a reflection of us. Your ideas, your passions." Empowered by his father's interest, Jake shot up and dashed toward his room. Tom could hear the excited chaos of items being tossed aside, discarded, and rediscovered. A few moments later, Jake returned, clutching a tattered comic book that had seen better days, stickers plastered over some of the pages. "This one, it's my favorite because it's about a hero who never gives up." In that moment, the fervor of Jake's choice struck a chord in Tom's consciousness. He realized this wasn't just about a bookcase or the physical structure. It was about resilience. He saw a piece of himself in the narratives that circulated in Jake's world. Stories of struggle and triumph echoed in his heart. A desire for legacy. A longing for connection. "I love that," Tom affirmed, meeting Jake's eager gaze with his own understanding. "How about we each choose something? We can fill the bookcase with things that remind us of our journeys." Jake hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. "But what if the others don't like what I choose?" Tom felt that familiar pang of dread in his chest. "That's part of our adventure. Each story is different, but they all matter. Sharing them is how we build our story as a family." A slow smile crept onto Jake's face, encouragement blossoming in the recognition of their bond. "Okay, I'll go find my trophy from the soccer game." As Jake scurried away, Tom's pulse quickened. This project was morphing into something greater, a tapestry of their lives woven with trust and memory. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the garage windows, illuminating the piles of wood and tools, but now also the small artifacts of their lives that would adorn the bookcase. As they placed the first few items inside, a sense of purpose enveloped Tom. He wasn't just building a structure but a monument to their family. Soon, Emily appeared at the garage doorway, initially hesitant. Tom sensed the fatigue that often cloaked her, a woman caught in the web of obligations. But as she observed the colorful display of Jake's trophies and comic books, her resolve softened. "It looks beautiful," she admitted, and her voice conveyed surprise mixed with interest. "Come in. We're talking about what to put in the bookcase." Tentatively, Emily stepped closer, her skepticism giving way to curiosity. "That sounds fun." Tom's heart swelled. Here was the bridge being built, the opportunity for them to connect. He felt a rush of gratitude and determination. "We were thinking of something that reflects who you are too. What's important to you?" As a contemplative silence enveloped them, Tom realized they were at a crossroads. Would Emily embrace this project, continue to build on their emotional foundation together, or retreat again into the eddies of responsibility? This moment loomed heavy with potential. With each decision, every shared choice, a new narrative would unfold. But the fear of any misstep remained palpable. Tom would need to remain open, vulnerable, and ready to tackle whatever feelings arose, not just for himself, but for the sake of unity. He breathed deeply, steeling himself to create space for her answer. Could this project truly become the catalyst for deeper understanding, or would it merely skim the surface? The stakes felt enormous, and as he prepared to hear her thoughts, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest conversations still lay ahead. Tom's anticipation tightened as he watched Emily's eyes drift to the scattered mementos. Every second felt like an eternity, the weight of unsaid words hanging in the air. He could sense her hesitation, an innate struggle between the burdens of day-to-day life and the longing for connection. "What's important to you, Em?" he inquired gently, his tone betraying a mix of hope and trepidation. She was the heartbeat of their family, and the thought of sharing this creative venture could either fortify their bond or expose its flaws. After a moment loaded with possibilities, Emily took a deep breath, as if gathering courage for a leap. "It's hard to say. There are so many things that pull at me every day. I'm not sure what I would choose." Tom felt a pang at her uncertainty. He wanted this moment to be liberating, a chance for her to express herself beyond the roles that confined them both. "Why don't we think of something that represents your journey too? Maybe something from work, or a personal achievement." She momentarily averted her gaze, considering his suggestion. Tom caught a glimpse of internal battle waging silently within her. It angered him that life had squeezed her passion so tightly that she felt confined to the margins of their family narrative. Ultimately, she sighed, her voice a mixture of resignation and determination. "I've always loved the art we've created together. Remember? The paintings and the crafts? I think it used to mean something to me before life got in the way." The admission struck a chord in Tom. "Then let's find something that represents your creativity. Maybe an art piece from one of our family projects?" As a flicker of interest sparked back to life in Emily's eyes, Tom felt a rush of hope. This shared undertaking could illuminate buried dreams and lost aspirations. It wasn't simply about creating a bookcase. It was about weaving their stories together, salvaging fragments of what made them who they were. Emily nodded slowly, the barriers between them beginning to dissolve. "I do have that centerpiece we made for our anniversary. It's tucked away in the attic. I haven't looked at it in ages." "Perfect," Tom replied, the momentum of their connection rejuvenating his spirit. "Let's go find it together." As they moved toward the attic, the atmosphere began to shift. The climb felt symbolic, each creaking step reflecting an eagerness to confront what lay dormant. Those dusty boxes held pieces of themselves that reflected brighter times, before the weight of responsibility drowned their shared joy. Once they reached the attic, Tom felt the energy buzz around them, like static electricity before a storm. He rummaged through cardboard boxes, pulling out old pictures, knickknacks, and forgotten memories. Every item stirred feelings, moments that had shaped their lives, weaving joy, conflict, and resilience into the fabric of their shared reality. "I found it!" Emily's voice broke through his focused silence. She was holding the centerpiece, vibrant and intricate, alive with colors that mirrored their early days together. Holding it, she smiled for the first time that day, and Tom could see the sparks of creativity reignite within her. "This is beautiful," he said, examining the piece with awe. "It deserves to be honored, to be seen." In the simplicity of that moment, he recognized their journey. The art symbolized not just Emily's past, but a shared commitment to nurturing lost dreams. As they placed the centerpiece into the bookcase, Tom felt a swell of unity. Here was a space that truly represented who they were, a narrative of resilience, creativity, and love. Yet within the warmth of this connection lay unspoken questions, a burgeoning tension behind the smiles. Would this open door lead them deeper into each other's hearts, or would they retreat again into their separate worlds? As Tom stepped back to admire their handiwork, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was still waiting to unravel. The challenge they faced remained far from resolved. Would the conversations that followed reveal deeper truths, or would they unravel the fragile fabric they'd built? The moment hung heavily in the air, and as he turned to Emily, ready to speak, an unexpected thought occurred to him. What if the very act of sharing their dreams unearthed pains long buried? The uncertainty washed over him, leaving a thrilling question waiting on the horizon. Would confronting those truths propel them toward healing? Or would it lead to a reckoning neither was ready for? As Tom stood in front of the bookcase, the centerpiece radiating vibrant memories, he felt the stirrings of a deeper conversation beckoning. Emily was close, her presence a warm pulse of potential. Yet, as he glanced at her, a weight settled in the pit of his stomach. What if opening this door to affection also unleashed vulnerabilities they had cloaked in routine? He began, fighting to maintain a steady voice. This piece represents not just your creativity, but your spirit. I've seen glimpses of it late at night when you think no one's watching. Your sketches on scrap paper, your vibrant colors mixed in with household chore lists. I think it's time for them to breathe. Her brow furrowed as he spoke, a mixture of wonder and apprehension washing over her features. You really think I could? She hesitated, disbelief lingering in her voice. I mean, create like I used to? Absolutely, he urged. You shouldn't need to question your ability or your right to pursue this aspect of yourself. You're still that person. She's just been waiting for a chance to re-emerge. Emily looked away, her fingers tracing the intricate lines of the centerpiece. What if I fail? What if it goes nowhere? Sometimes trying again feels like inviting disappointment. Tom felt his heart race. She was treading on familiar ground. Self-doubt that bred in silence, cocooned in years of external expectations and sacrifices. For years he had navigated the boundaries of security and aspiration, watching her give up bits of herself without fully understanding the ramifications. Failure isn't the opposite of success, Em. It's part of the journey, he said, nudging her toward self-compassion. If you feel it in your bones, then you owe it to yourself to explore it. Her gaze flickered back to him, the shadow of vulnerability giving way to curiosity. What if I make time to create? What would that even look like? Tom's pulse quickened. Let's establish a space. A dedicated corner in the attic. Somewhere just for you. We can set it up however you want. We'll make it a sanctuary for your creativity that you can retreat to. The tentative light in Emily's demeanor sparked into something brighter, but disbelief still clouded her eyes. What if I don't have the time or energy? Between work and the kids, time is a matter of choices, he countered, feeling the edge of impatience slip beneath his concern. You've been so willing to carry this load for everyone else. What about investing in you? Imagine how empowering it would be to prioritize your dreams, no matter how small. As her heart began to surface from beneath layers of hesitance, a subtle shift occurred, revealing the depth of her struggle. Tom inhaled sharply. The slight cracking of her armor sent adrenaline through him. Could they truly face life's burdens together? Maybe. Just maybe, she whispered, her voice trembling with authenticity. I might allow myself to try again. Tom nodded, a sense of triumph swelling within him. Yes. Let's do it. Let's create that space together. Yet beneath his determined enthusiasm, shadows of doubt still fought for dominance in his mind. Could he be the catalyst for her growth without losing himself in the process? He was stepping into the unknown, too, navigating a vast sea of possibility that whispered of change. Just as hope ignited, a troubling thought clawed at him. Would his attempts to uplift her inadvertently pull him further from his own goals? The delicate dance of mutual growth felt perilous, and he didn't want to stifle her exploration with his unresolved conflicts. Let's start tomorrow, she said, her voice laced with both excitement and uncertainty. He knew that tomorrow would be a pivotal moment, but was he truly ready for what might emerge? With the evening drawing close, the air thick with expectation, they stood on the precipice of change. Tom felt an urgency he couldn't shake. This endeavor, fraught with risks, might reveal truths about both of them they weren't ready to confront. As they locked eyes, a silent agreement formed between them, a commitment to courage, regardless of the fallout. Was this the moment that would bring them closer? Or would it unravel the threads they had only just begun to weave together? The weight of promise and doubt lingered ominously, pressing Tom to confront his own ambitions. Would he become an ally in Emily's ascent? Or could her journey also lead to his own downfall? The next morning arrived with a quiet sense of anticipation, a feeling that encased Tom like a tight-fitting jersey. As sunlight streamed into the attic, he felt its warmth bathing him in possibilities. He had taken the day off, not only to help Emily craft her creative haven, but to reassess his own aspirations while fully supporting hers. The air was thick with dust motes, illuminated by the early rays that danced through the window. He could feel the weight of the unpacked boxes, as if they were a metaphor for everything left unaddressed in his own life. The attic, once a forgotten area piled with boxes of memories, felt like a fresh canvas awaiting the stroke of imagination. Yet Tom struggled with the brush. "Hey, are you ready?" Emily's voice interrupted his reverie. She appeared at the top of the stairs, her face painted with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. It was the same expression he often saw in her, always seeking permission to embrace the light rather than retreat into the shadows of self-doubt. Absolutely. He mimicked her smile, but felt a twitch of hesitation ripple through him. Let's get started. As they began clearing out the boxes, they unearthed remnants of a life shared. Old photographs, long-forgotten mementos from their honeymoon, art supplies gathering cobwebs in corners, and remnants of childhood dreams buried in oblivion. Each piece stirred a deeper reflection within him. How much had they both sacrificed to fit into molds set by expectations? "Look at this!" Emily exclaimed, holding up a sketchbook of hers, its cover frayed yet unmistakably vibrant. "I used to draw in this all the time." Tom watched her expression and could see the glimmers of her past self emerging against a backdrop of yearning. "It's beautiful, Em. You should use it again," he encouraged, but the tug of his internal conflict clenched around him. While she began exploring her forgotten passions, he felt his ambitions rise like steam from a boiling kettle. The resentments he used to push down flared to the surface, the times he had set aside his aspirations to support her. He admired her spirit, but couldn't shake the feeling that in helping her, he might neglect his path. "What about you, Tom?" Emily's soft voice broke through his thoughts as she caught him lost in contemplation. "Do you have any old passions you could revisit?" Her question pierced through the haze of doubt. He had assumed they had traversed enough ground since the children's birth to forge their futures anew, but had completely overlooked his own growth. He could sense a shadow lurking around his dreams, keeping them stagnant, defensive. His sketched-out plans lay dormant, overshadowed by the demands of life. "Honestly, I don't know anymore," Tom finally admitted. The truth felt heavy yet liberating. "I've been so focused on you and the kids that I forgot what I wanted." A moment of silence stretched between them, and Emily's eyes softened. "What do you want?" The simplicity of her question struck him hard. He had spent years carefully curating his identity to be a good husband and father, but he had left parts of himself behind, like discarded artwork. "I want to write," he confessed almost hesitantly, heart racing. "I've always dreamed about it, but chased the security route." Emily's face lit up, intrigue swirling in her gaze. "Then maybe this is a chance for both of us. If I can try, then you should too." Her encouragement ignited a flicker within him, a push he needed but was afraid to accept fully. "But what if writing won't provide for the family? What if I fail?" The very questions he once crafted for her now surfaced, entangling his resolve. Suddenly the urge to reclaim his aspirations rose stronger than fear, igniting memories of words once written and dreams left untouched. Together, perhaps they could forge a new path, not just for her, but for him as well. As they began to make decisions about Emily's space, Tom turned inward, contemplating the potential shift in their dynamics. What would their life look like, actively pursuing their passions side by side? He stole a glance at her, lips pressed into a determined line, a mirror reflecting the respect for her journey, and perhaps the urgency of his own. They were at a precipice, and he realized he must leap into his own potential if she were to reclaim hers. Would he muster the courage to embrace this creative endeavor and redefine their relationship while fearing the uncertainty of both their journeys? As if sensing the moment hang in the balance, Emily picked up her sketchbook, revealing a blank page. Waiting. A potent symbol for both of them. The question loomed over them like a tempest. Could this collaboration not only nurture Emily's self-discovery, but revive Tom's long-forsaken dream? As time flowed and sunlight shifted, the attic buzzed with newfound energy. Tom stood amid boxes filled with memories and palpable possibilities, his heart thrumming with a mix of trepidation and anticipation. This was not merely a venture of creativity, but a dual reclamation, both he and Emily reclaiming the parts of themselves that had dimmed over the years. "Let's establish our spaces," Tom suggested, his voice steady. "What do you envision for your corner?" Her eyes gleamed with hope as she took in the accumulation of materials. "I want it to radiate color, inspiration," she replied. "A place where I can breathe life into my sketches. A nook where I can retreat without the denials of daily life." Tom nodded, envisioning her vibrant designs painted across the walls. "And this can be a place where I work on my writing too. A shared space for our passionate endeavors." The acknowledgement that both their aspirations had value began to reshape the dynamic within him. As they carved out designated corners for themselves, the act felt symbolic. A declaration of intent that they weren't just a family unit, but a collective of individual talents waiting to be unfurled. "Let's fill our area with the things that matter," he prompted, stepping closer to where Emily had begun to arrange her supplies. "You could hang some of your artwork on the walls, too. It can spark creativity in both our spaces." Her smile widened, illuminating the room. "That's a terrific idea." The enthusiasm radiated from her, and inexplicably Tom felt lighter. This wouldn't just be about rekindling her spirit. It was an opportunity for them both to thrive. Days turned into weeks as they immersed themselves in their creative sanctuary. Eyeing each other's progress became a dance of motivation, the attic transforming into a vibrant collage of colors and possibilities. Each stroke of Emily's brush on canvas ignited Tom's urge to write, conjuring vivid scenes which danced through his imagination. But amid the excitement and collaboration, the shadows of doubt crept in, threatening to unravel their bond. "Tom, I'm worried that my art won't be enough. What if I never reach the level I want?" Emily's voice, tinged with vulnerability, cut through her confident facade. "Let that go," Tom gently countered, the realization dawning on him now that growth was not a straight line. "Just create for you. Art breathes in imperfection. It's the journey, not the final product, that matters. Your true self will shine through every stroke." Over the weeks, as they weathered their respective doubts, Emily's fears metamorphosed into joy, reflected in her work and radiating toward Tom. He, too, began penning stories set in fantastical worlds, steeped in authenticity as he drew inspiration from their shared experiences. Their bond began to shift. They were now co-creators navigating life's narrative together. One particular afternoon, as a storm settled outside, Tom felt a peculiar tinge in the air. It was during a break from their creative endeavors that he had an epiphany. A realization so profound it ignited his heart. They weren't merely digging up their individual passions, but were unraveling a larger tapestry of their familial identity. "Emily," Tom called, catching her attention. "What if we combined our talents for a community project? Let's host workshops to inspire others. art and storytelling fused into a journey reminiscent of individual growth. What if we documented this journey? Your stories alongside my art. It could become something meaningful. Our contribution to the world. As they exchanged ideas, Tom watched Emily's brow lift. The possibility glimmered between them, a transformative moment where they both recognized their growth transcended individual desires. The next few months saw them take bold steps outside their comfort zones, hosting weekend workshops that invited community involvement, sharing not just their work, but igniting passion in others. The response was overwhelming. Families began pouring in, discovering their innermost selves through crafting and storytelling. Tom stood shoulder to shoulder with Emily one evening, reflecting on their journey. The workshop, once a vague notion, now echoed with laughter and creative exploration. Each shared moment deepened their relationship. "Can you feel it?" he asked, scanning the happy faces around them. "This was our risk. We transformed ourselves and brought those around us along for the ride. Our families are thriving because we chose to follow our own dreams." Emily's eyes shimmered as she intertwined her fingers with his. "And look at what we've built together. Our bond is rooted in this very transformation. The fears we faced made us resilient, side by side." Tom's heart swelled with pride. He had achieved the monumental task of nurturing himself while illuminating Emily's path simultaneously. They had ignited the flames of creativity within their home while deriving empowerment from vulnerability. Months rolled on, and success became multifaceted. They found themselves surrounded by those filled with aspirations and dreams. Recognition loomed large as the workshops blossomed, with local businesses extending their support. Tom and Emily became local ambassadors for creativity as they shared their story across the region, affirming that transformation through artistry could emanate far beyond family confines. They stood side by side, on stage one evening accepting an award for community impact. Their joint efforts echoed loudly. Tom delivered a moving speech encompassing gratitude for Emily and the revelations they embraced together. In that moment, Tom understood fully. He was no longer constrained by his fears, and neither was Emily. They were allies, the essence of who they had once been refracted in the lives they now touched. The cycle of transformation had transformed them selflessly, pushing boundaries of love, expression, and creativity. "That's the beauty of our journey," he later told Emily as they stood amidst a crowd celebrating the very moment of their lives. "We've conquered our doubts. We've embraced our true selves. Together," she smiled back, a glint of pride lighting her gaze. As the accolades flowed, Tom reached for Emily's hand, squeezing gently. A silent promise. The journey of growing, creating, and thriving was far from over. They had charted those waters magnificently, but the horizon shimmered with uncharted potential, and they would continue to navigate it together. In their newly established roles, they had transformed not only themselves, but laid the foundation of a revitalized family identity. It was a constant cycle of resolve and encouragement, a tapestry beautifully woven with stories yet to come. The future beckoned, filled with creative possibilities waiting to be explored. They were exactly where they needed to be, fully alive, passionately creating, and wholeheartedly together. Now, dear viewers, this is the moment to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire your own journey of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, proving that personal growth matters. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this ending. Let's engage and inspire one another. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. It's time to spread the message of resilience and creativity.